happy Monday to you. Welcome to Cool Shirt Monday here at Parx Racing, as we've got this great shirt from Penn Horse Racing. Thanks to the folks there at Penn Horse Racing. Check them out as they promote everything Pennsylvania and all the great racing action. 10 races coming your way. Big shout out. Thanks again for joining us for the Philly Big Five last week on the mandatory. Had 2.5 bet in. Wonderful pool in there and paid back just over $2,200. So you had some favorites in the sequence. So good on you if you had the Philly Big Five connected on those tickets. It starts all over Jackpot Bet. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the program. It's beautiful outside today here in Bensalem, Pennsylvania, so a fast main track. We're going to go through some of the races, talk about that. We're going to recap some of the races from last week in Parx Madness. Hopefully you enjoyed that as well. And we're going to catch up with one of the leading trainers right here at Parx Racing in Butch Reid. But let's take a look at race number 1. Here as we kick off the card to start off another new week of racing. Daylight savings, right? As everybody move their clocks forward here as we get into some of our live racing action. Race number 1, Mischievous Jones is going to be the top pick in here, the number 5. Horse has got early speed, is going to cut back in distance here to the 6 furlongs. We're going to take a look at this last run here at the 1 mile distance for Trainer John Service, being by Smarty Jones, 3-year-old gelding. Just hasn't really put it together in a few starts, but a far outside post just didn't break that well. Had some trouble here at the start. Is finishing behind Twisted Ride, though. Twisted Ride came back to win the City of Brotherly Love Stakes. So I think coming out of this race, that's Twisted Ride in front there in the lime green silks. Mischievous Jones is trying to find a place to tuck in, right? Is 3 wide around this turn, almost 4 wide. Hung out real wide here as they move to the backstretch as well. Is getting the hurry up here from Frankie Pennington. Just isn't making up the ground quick enough here to be on the front end. Now cuts back in distance here to the 6 furlongs. I think Mischievous Jones on the cutback really has a big shot in here. Horses down towards the inside should be taking significant action, but Mischievous Jones, maybe we catch a price and see if the 5 can get into the winner's circle in race number 1. Race number 2 at 7 furlongs, 12.5 non-2. She talks too much. I mean, the number 6 in here. This horse always has a big late closing kick. You're going to take a look at this horse's last run with saving ground to the inside. Courtney Gilardo will be aboard. You get the weight break here with the apprentice, but she talks too much in behind rivals. Gia's Fuego actually came back to win out of this effort, was claimed off of this race, and then came back to win. You see she talks too much. A little bit of weather was in the area that day, so there was some moisture on the ground, but you take a look at this run over a muddy main track. She talks too much, always brings her effort. She's always going to sit at the back of the pack. She's going to make that one big run. Now, she has been this distance 3 times with 2/3. She's got to pick that up, but she talks too much. I think has a big shot here at the 7 furlongs in today's second race. Hey, don't forget to tell your friends and family to hit that subscribe on YouTube. We've got all of our great content, the race replays. We'll have more new Parx fanatics coming your way as well, so hit that subscribe and check us out on YouTube. Welcome back to Out of the Gate. Once again, Track Announcer Chris Griffin here in the Parx Racing studio. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and join us here on a Cool Shirt Monday. Where's your cool shirts? Make sure you're throwing them on. I've got my cool shirt on. Where is your cool shirt? Hit me in the grandstand at Parx Racing. Race number 3, 5.5 furlongs, $7,500 claiming race in here. When you take a look at this run, Blunt Force, Phil Aristone off the layoff, Luis Rivera. This is a race that seems pretty wide open to me. I mean, you take a look at some of the horses in this race, some late closing types. Nautical Gem probably ends up going off favored, but the step up from 5,000 to 7,500 for me was a bit of a play against. I think if Blunt Force is ready off the layoff, hasn't run since August, comes back here at the $7,500 level, a slight drop in class here from the 10. I do like the 1. We'll see. It's a tough race. You got to catch some value there in that 3rd. Race number 4, 7 furlongs, 7,500 non-2 in there. Take a look at Mr. Tuttle here, number 10 towards the outside. I like this cutback in distance for Mr. Tuttle. This is a horse that shows a lot of speed. He's usually got the lead at the top of the stretch. It's just a matter of whether he's going to get caught in that spot. I will say today, the 4-year-old gelding, I do think that Mr. Tuttle is going to be able to show a little bit more of a kick down the lane here at the 7 furlongs. He's been this distance once, and he's won. Let's take a look at this last run here. When you take a look at this race here for Mr. Tuttle, he had some pace pressure. He wasn't alone up front. He's going to cruise up on the outside. Mr. Tuttle looks like he's going to open up, and he's probably going to win the race. But again, we've seen his running style. He's got the lead at the top of the stretch, and just some of these closers, they start to catch him in the late stages. This was a 1-mile race. He's been running the 2 turns. Now he's going to cut back in distance to 7 furlongs for Ernesto Padilla Preciado, who again has had a pretty nice meet so far, 46 starters with 4 winners, but still has had a lot of runners in the money. So I think Mr. Tuttle on the cutback, probably a deserving first or second choice from a wagering standpoint here in the 4th race. It's a tough sequence there in that 3rd and 4th race, but if you can connect on the winners, I do think Mr. Tuttle could be a standout there in race number 4. We had some great racing action last week. It was Parx Madness, so kind of put a collaborative together with the TV crew, the best TV crew in the business, and we put together something new here at Parx. So this is a recap from Parx Madness, all the stakes races that you saw last week. Enjoy. Parx Madness Stakes recap time. The Washington Crossing Stakes, Bird King. Looking like George Washington crossing the Delaware, sailing by the leaders on his way to a victory in the Penn's Landing Stakes. Penn's Landing marks the location where William Penn first set foot in Pennsylvania. Bet you didn't know that. But it was Hey Mama Luke drifting way outside, but she was well clear in her victory. The blue collar, hard knocking, like he's from Fishtown. Winner of 5 in a row, sprinter Hollywood Jet was once again impressive and did it this time in the Fishtown Stakes. She's top earner in the field and proving to be top class. Morning Matcha proves to be the queen in the mainline stakes. Kisses for Emily. She closed from, I think, south of Independence Hall, as she ran from way out of it to pass the dueling leaders, and she wins the Society Hill Stakes. Scaramouche, Scaramouche. Will you do the fandango? Well, yes. Yes, he can. Scaramouche, a dominating victory in the Rittenhouse Square. The City of Brotherly Love Stakes, it was like Rocky and Apollo revisited, a slugfest in the stretch. Twisted Ride winning the photo, and on International Women's Day, it was trainer Kate DeMasi saddling the final winner of our final stakes race during Parx Madness. Pretty cool. Make sure you guys check that out on our YouTube channel. Also, we had those winter circle presentations. We had some wet weather, so it was down in the paddock, but there was the 87-88 Temple men's basketball team. Some members of that squad as they were joining us here for the presentations, as we had quite a few universities, their teams, their coaches represented in the winners presentations right here during Parx Madness. So hopefully you enjoyed that 3 days of racing for Parx Madness. Looking forward to next year's edition here of those great stakes races, the starter handicaps. We had those starter handicaps to conclude the racing action, but there was the Temple men's basketball team right here in the Philadelphia area. So hopefully you enjoyed all the madness, Parx Madness, and that great recap. Let's talk about the Monday card a little bit more here. Race number 5, and you take a look at this 7 furlong race. Number 3, BB's Rocket. I just think this one's sitting on a win. She showed speed last time out, finished second, beating a length and a half. Get Her Ready Eddie just ran her down in the late stages. She's going to have to pick it up, obviously, to get to the winner's circle. But coming into this 12-5 non-2, it just seems like she's knocking on the door. And today will be the day for the 4-year-old filly by Munnings. Race number 6, when we take a look at this run, 6 furlongs, maiden $25,000 race in here. Ardeen, yes, there's a layoff, but Ardeen was coming out of that waiver maiden 20 race. That was back in September. Ardeen needed some time off here for trainer Michael Pino. Dexter Haddock is going to be back aboard, but we're going to take a look at this run here from Ardeen, and you take a look at this horse into the stretch. I mean, Ardeen doesn't look like she's going to lose, right? Ardeen is just in cruise control here. She had shown speed from start number 1 to start number 2. Now, the numbers got to improve. She came out of a Disco Ebo race in her debut, and that was on August 23rd. She looks like she's gone, and she just gets caught here by Halligirl in the late stages of the race. Dexter Haddock will be aboard here for the first time. 3-year-old filly by Midnight Storm. Her cruising speed is very strong. She gets the time off, and she comes back at the maiden $25,000 level. Yes, she's in for the tag, but we'll see how Ardeen does fare in today's 6th race. Race number 7, you know, this is an interesting spot here. 1 mile and 70 yards, $5,000 claiming race in here, and when you take a look at this run, it just seems like it's a wide open race that you got to take a look at a price, right? So I'm going to go to Linder. I'm going to go to Silvera. Mondays with Mike. This horse is going to go off at a 10-1 morning line. When you take a look for some value as you look at the pick 4, this will be the late pick 4 with 10 races on the program. Mondays with Mike, 5th beaten 7 1/4 last time out. I just don't know where else to go in here. I mean, I'm kind of trusting the connections in this spot that a horse that's won at this distance, has a 3rd place finish from 4 starts at the mile and 70. Maybe this horse is able to turn things around. Ruben Silvera sees fit. He's going to take them out back here on Mondays with Mike. I just don't know where else to go. When you take a look at some of the other rivals in this race, Thomas Knight, kind of a grinder, has just been picking up the pieces. VIP Code, who I've got picked 2nd. Again, not sure what to do with this runner from trainer Jamie Ness. Jamie Rodriguez will be aboard. Horse is 9-2 on the morning line. 7-year-old gelding by City Zip. It seems like VIP Code, if this horse runs back to those efforts that were back in 2020, this horse is going to win. He's got front end speed, a 7-year-old gelding that is 4 for 5 at the distance. But this doesn't look like a horse that's a slam dunk to me. Starts at the optional 16, then goes to 7,500, now drops again here to the $5,000 tag. Just not quite sure what to think from VIP Code to start that pick 4 sequence, the late pick 4. Again, it's Ness and Rodriguez. They paired up very well, hitting at 38%. For me, it just seems like this is maybe the type of runner, though, that you might want to shy away from here. Depends on the price that I would get. It does kick off that pick 4 at 2nd leg of the Philly Big 5, which starts all over again this afternoon. So we'll see what happens there with the 1 VIP Code. Butch Reid, he won a couple races last week, and he just continues to do nice things here at Parx Racing with a lot of really nice horses. So let's take a moment and catch up with trainer Butch Reid.
My name is Robert Reid. Everybody knows me as Butch, and I'm a thoroughbred horse trainer. My brother stuck it to me. My brother Mark, who was also a lifelong horse trainer, started when I was just a young kid. I guess because of my haircut or something, he started calling me Butch, or my physique, I'm not sure which.
Butch learned from his family on how to train and be a horseman.
My brother Mark, I've kind of followed in his footsteps. My grandfather first took us to the old Garden State racetrack over in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and that was the first racetrack we were at. And we both went down to the University of Maryland, and Mark started out first working for Dickie Dutrow down at Laurel and Bowie, and I kind of followed him a couple of years after he went through and started, rubbing horses for Dickie Dutrow down there. And then my brother was a longtime leading trainer here at Keystone back in the day. And I actually bought a horse first. I was an owner before I started training, and did that for a while. And I took out my first trainer's license in 1983.
Trainer of champions Butch Reid told us what differences he notices between the Colts and the fillies.
Well, part of it is, the fillies are much more consistent. The boys are hit or miss a lot. You swing for the fences with them, sometimes you're going to strike out, but the fillies are much more steady, and they're much tougher than the boys, if the truth be known. They run hard, and they seem to give you a good effort, where the boys seem to run a little hot and cold. Vequist, the champion 2-year-old filly in 2020, provided Butch Reid with an Eclipse Award winner. That was just amazing, for my owners who had been with me, Tom McGrath, who'd been around for a long time, and I was fortunate enough to buy her mother out of the sale down at Timonium for a very modest fee, and she came along, and as the 2-year-olds do, started showing some promise, or in the late spring and early summer of last year. And then, I was fortunate enough to have, after she got beat here in the maiden race, fortunate enough to have Adam Wachtel and Gary Barber show interest in her, because she had ran an incredible number that day. And they're the ones who bought into her and ended up being partners. And they're a little more aggressive than I would have been. I'm not sure I would have run her back as a maiden in her second start in the spin away at Saratoga in the Grade 1, but they wanted to take a shot, and it worked out very well. Which race does trainer Butch Reid still think about winning? Well, of course, the Derby, but, since we seem to be on fillies right now, I'd like to win the Cotillion. It'd be fun to win that race right here at our home track. What lessons has Butch learned over his career? Well, it's just keeping a level head. That's been the hardest thing about this business, and longevity is going to prove out in the long run. But there's going to be ups and downs. That's fantastic as last year was, winning the Breeders' Cup and having an Eclipse Award winner. There's been a lot of years where it's been tough, and stay with your family and keep the family coming along, and keeping the family happy is another big part of it.
Thanks again to trainer Butch Reid. Thanks to Jenny Reid as well for letting us join them for a bit, catching up with them right here at Parx. Race number 8, taking a look at Pylon, and here the number 6. I think if this horse gets back to the two-back effort, they tried State Bred Allowance. It was just too much last time. Let's take a look at this horse's last win. This horse is going to win by a length in this spot. This is back in February 9th. Take an eye on the Red Cap, the horse that ends up there, Mr. Fantasy. We'll talk about this horse in just a moment, but Pylon draws away here in the late stages, is going to win by a length over Indoctrinate. Johnny Oil was a late closer in this spot. I think Pylon coming back to this 12-5 level here for Patricia Farrow. Again, they took a shot, just didn't quite pan out that State Bred Allowance, and now Pylon draws away, gets the victory in there. I think this horse has a big shot this afternoon. We'll talk about race number 8 a little bit later on this afternoon. Race number 9, 1 mile and 70 yards. When you take a look at this run, the number 8, Birchmont Road. This is another one of those wide open races to me. I think Birchmont Road, if this horse gets back to that last start, this horse ends up winning by 6.5 lengths. Lou Linder, Ruben Silvera, 5-1. I'm on board. I think an outside draw is going to have to find some good tactical position in here, but this does look like a horse in this type of race that the numbers continue to improve. Ran really big last time out. 5-year-old gelding by Giant Gizmo has that one win over the dirt. Maybe he just likes the dirt here, and we'll see if Birchmont Road continues his ascent here at Parx. Race number 10, 7,500 non-3, 7 furlongs being the distance in here as we wrap things up on the card. The number 2, Artie's Rose, Angel Castillo, Mario Dominguez. Again, another race where you could go a lot of different directions in here. The 5 Beyond a Million possibly comes right back there for Bobby Moscow, but Artie's Rose, it just seemed like a horse like this, dropping in class, maybe dropping into the right spot, needs this class relief. That'll end up being the top pick for me, is 1 for 3 at the distance. That's the 2 in race number 10. I talked about Mr. Fantasy. Guess what? Trainer Ruperto Perez, Gerardo Milan, Mr. Fantasy, they were the performance of the week. So check it out from last week. Congratulations again to those connections, and again, that really moves Pylon forward. I think Mr. Fantasy comes back and wins by 14 lengths out of that effort. Yes, it was a while back, but Pylon was able to beat Mr. Fantasy, who then returns to win by 14 lengths. That's pretty impressive for me. We got paddock previews coming up throughout the afternoon. It's Cool Shirt Monday, of course. You can hit that hashtag Cool Shirt Monday. You can find me at In the Grandstand. I want to give a shout out again to the best TV crew in the business for helping put together those packages, and we've got more content coming to you right on the YouTube channel. We got those race replays. We've got Saturdays coming up as well as we get into some nicer weather here in Bensalem and in the region. So look forward to joining us on Saturday afternoons for live racing. We got first post times at 12:55. Hopefully everybody moved their clocks forward, and now you've changed your clocks. We got TikTok Tuesday tomorrow. I got an exciting item we're bringing up for you on that. And we got some great racing action coming up. The next 3 days of racing, we got 10, 11, 10, all coming your way here on a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of live racing here at Parx. Don't forget, you can always follow us on our social media. On Twitter, find us at Parx Racing, and on YouTube. Tell your friends and family, hit that subscribe. I got to check on what that number is. I think we are quickly approaching 200 subscribers. Right after we hit 200, then the next target is 500, I think. But we're looking forward to adding more and more content. Thanks again to the connections on the backside for letting us hang out with them, bug them, however you want to call it, right here at Parx Racing. For Out of the Gate, back here next week, live racing is coming your way here at Parx. Enjoy, and I'll see you next Monday on another Cool Shirt Monday on Out of the Gate.